Hey, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about yoga and eating disorder recovery. So I have been practicing yoga for 16 years and I've been teaching yoga for 15 years. And when I first found yoga, I was in the throes of my addiction to substances and alcohol, and also in the throes of my eating disorder. And I used yoga to help me burn calories and like a way to change my body. I first started doing Bikram yoga. I would do Bikram yoga a few times a day. Bikram yoga is really hot yoga done in your bathing suit, staring at a mirror of yourself. Like, it is so disordered, in my opinion. And I would just like hate on myself hard for those 90 minutes several times a day. And I think it's all about the intention. Like, my intention was like, I'm going to burn calories, I'm going to change the shape of my body. And then eventually I found Anusara yoga. So my body was getting hurt in the yoga I was doing before. I did Bikram yoga and I did Shiva Ray flowy yoga, like dance. And it was all about trying to get in the most advanced version of the pose, because if I could do the most advanced version of the pose, then I'd be worthy. And then I found this style Anusara, which doesn't emphasize the most advanced version of the pose. It emphasizes alignment principles. So you modify the pose as much as you need to so you can practice these alignment principles, and the alignment principles will help take your body into this place called optimal alignment, so that you're healing physical injuries, you're preventing future injuries, you can work on a lot of mental and emotional stuff, and it's not the peak pose is the goal, it's how you're aligning to that challenge for the most growth and healing. So I always feel silly when I share this, but I'm going to. So I feel like in Anusara yoga, I learned what most people learn when they're a child, which is my actions have consequences or results. Any action has a result, and if I don't like the result I'm getting, I need to change my action and the way I'm aligning that action. So that just blew my mind, and I really felt like everyone else in the world got an instruction manual on how to be a human except for me. And I talked to a therapist about this, and she said that that's a really classic line that adults of what's the word? It's adult children of alcoholics. So my mom was an alcoholic, so I guess that's a really common thread for people who grew up with a parent who was an alcoholic. But it just taught me that, like, if I align my body, or if I don't align my body, it's going to lead to pain. Just like if I'm binging every day, that's going to lead to pain. So if I don't like the pain that that action's giving me, I should change that action. So it was through finding Anusara yoga and through finding this practice that really made me think about how I was aligning my mind, my emotions, and my body, and that was giving me different results that just like it changed my life. And it's one of the biggest things that brought me to go to treatment for my eating disorder. And then a few years later, I went and got sober from drugs and alcohol. So I really think that practice and going into it with this, like, how can I align myself for the most healing and the most growth, has been really positive for me. I no longer go to classes to just burn calories. I never do all the chaturangas. I don't do the most advanced variations of the pose. I rarely practice in public classes these days, especially since I'm going through eating disorder recovery again. I practice like 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 5 times a week, and it's normally a lot of like floor poses and gentle poses, propped up poses. So I'm not going into it for the burn or to change my body shape. Instead, I'm using it as a way to connect with myself. And that's another thing that I think can be so great about yoga, is you can take any problem you have off of the mat and you can take it and practice it on the mat. So like I said, I felt like I didn't know how to be a normal adult. I feel like yoga is the place I get to practice that. So for example, like when I'm being impatient in my life, I can come to my mat and I can practice patience. Or when I'm hurting myself through my disordered eating, I can come to my mat and I can feel my feelings and I can accept where I am in that moment, and I can find some acceptance for myself, and I can take care of myself and show up for myself and be gentle to myself, which has been so hard for me to do off of my mat. So when people want to go into yoga and eating disorder recovery, I think it really has to do with what's your intention behind it. Are you trying to burn calories? Are you trying to change the shape of your body? Both of those should be no. Are you doing really long classes, really intense like power classes? or are you doing it as a way of self-care to check in with you and see how you're feeling and practice self-acceptance and those things that we normally don't practice when our eating disorder is in flare. So I want to share a clip with you with one of the yoga practices I did when I was on my trip in Boulder. I made a video about that a few days ago, so you can check that out. It was a really challenging trip. So I'm going to speed up the video that I'm going to show you so you can see the practice I do. This practice was only 10 minutes long, and I'll voice over what I was thinking about during that practice. If you have any questions about yoga or eating disorder recovery or anything like that, please let me know. I'm really passionate about yoga, and I'm really passionate about eating disorder recovery, and I'm trying to figure out how they mix together. I really think they do, but at the same time, I think they could also really clash, and the eating disorder can take on the yoga and use the yoga to like fuel the eating disorder wants, instead of using yoga to help break free from the eating disorder and find freedom and self-acceptance. So, okay, here's my practice.
During this practice, my intention was to move into various challenges. So each pose is an example of a challenge. So in each pose and in each challenge, can I stay open? Can I stay open and accept what's going on and try to tap into love? Instead of moving into a challenge and closing myself off physically, mentally, emotionally, can I move into a challenge and stay open? Can I open my heart, like physically broadening my collarbones and drawing my shoulders back? Can I open my mind? Can I be present? And can I settle into my emotions, but from a place of openness? So many times in challenges, I use my eating disorder to run away and to hide and to close off from the world and to get smaller. So may I practice being open, being present, being bigger. I was working a lot on opening my hamstrings, so forward folds and those weird side lunges, and opening across my pecs and my chest. Feeling what it's like to be in my body as it is now. My body has changed so much these past few months. Just feeling what it likes to be in my body and to move. I like doing twist as a way to release things that aren't serving me. So releasing the idea that I need to change my food or control my food or compensate for my food, twisting off and rinsing out the idea that my worth is measured in my size, and opening up to the truth that I am a better human, I am a better mom, I am a better friend, I'm a better wife when I'm not engaging in my eating disorder. Can I stay open through it all and not go back to my old ways of closing off and shutting down? And those back bends are fun, but back bends can often hurt my back, so I have to do a lot of work of lifting up out of my spine, so I'm curling in my upper heart. My tendency is just to collapse on my back. So again, that relates so much to my life. Like, it's my tendency to run back to the eating disorder. It takes more work and more awareness and more intention to open up in a way that's going to be healthy for me. So to not fall back onto my tendencies and collapsing on myself, but supporting myself and doing the work I need to so that I can open up in a genuine way that's healing for me, that's healthy for me. Here's another one of those twists. Wringing out the old. And then I sit down and meditate and just feel myself. More back bends, working to not collapse in my low back and opening my heart. In every challenge, can I stay open? Can I not run? Can I be present? It's so interesting to think of all the ways I run away. Like, I run away, the most obvious, with food or restricting or compensating for food. But I also run away by like looking at my phone or thinking about things. And the idea of just being with me as I am with no distraction, that's something I really want to work on, and that's something that yoga lets me do. But again, notice how I'm not like pumping out chaturangas. I'm not hopping around. I'm not moving really fast. Well, I am, because I sped up this video. This was a 10-minute practice. I'm not practicing for an extended amount of time. I'm not moving. This yoga practice wasn't about changing my shape or my size. This yoga practice was for me to practice being open to life, to feel my body, to accept where I am in this moment and still choose to open instead of to close. Today, I'm really grateful for my yoga practice. I don't think if it was for yoga, I would have figured out that my actions have results, and if I want to change the results, I need to change my actions. And yoga has really brought in me that awareness to learn what I'm doing that's not working, that's getting me the results I don't want. And it gives me the awareness and kind of the skill to figure out how to go in and make these little changes to see if it changes my results. I think yoga is like one big experiment, and life is one big experiment, and you're just trying to fiddle around with your actions and the way you're doing your actions to cultivate the results that you want to get in your life. So I think for someone going through an eating disorder, if you can go into it and think, how can this practice serve me? Not beat me up, not be one more way that I try to compensate my body so I can change my body, but how can I let this practice help me practice the life skills that I'm lacking so I can live life outside of my eating disorder. Okay, so this is just another clip of me meditating. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.